excited for Joel. For those who are new to Joel, sign up for his newsletter. But Joel Kelly is a lifelong marketer and strategy enthusiast. He's been a senior leader in creative agencies, a content marketing director, SaaS product marketer. I haven't said that word out loud too often. And a PR and crisis consultant. He currently runs a boutique strategy firm, the Family Knife, which we just learned a little bit about. And then today he's going to be talking about every decision is a marketing decision. I feel like if I go into reading the synopsis of that, it's going to kind of underwhelm folks, Joel. So I might just be handing it over to you. We're excited to hear what you have to say today.
Wonderful. Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Thanks, Mike and Kenzie and Matt and Digital Nova Scotia as well. I'm going to be talking for the next 15, maybe 20 minutes or so about, as Kenzie mentioned, how every decision in my opinion at least is a marketing decision. A lot of the inspiration for this presentation comes from this book, which I just recently read. It's the new book from Alyssa Part and David Dylan Thomas called Design for Cognitive Bias. It really just goes through many of the known cognitive biases that we all have that either can lead us to make decisions that might be harmful to us, or we could accidentally lead other people, for instance, through our marketing, through our design, through the way we build our products, to make harmful decisions to themselves through what we present to them and how we design things. So it was a really interesting book. But the one that really jumped out for me was this cognitive bias he mentioned called deformation professionnelle, or essentially, we see the world through our jobs. There's this great book, which I'm sure a few people have read, called On Looking, where the author goes on a walk around Manhattan with many, I think a dozen or so different people with different jobs, you know, from her own toddler to a biologist, to a graphic designer, to a botanist, and everyone sees that same walk they go on throughout Manhattan completely differently. They're seeing the same things, but they're experiencing it so different because of their jobs, because of who they are and the lens through which they see the world. So this cognitive bias certainly speaks to me, because this is how I see the world. I do see the world really through marketing strategy, which on the downside can often make me a reasonably boring dinner companion, but on the upside, it can be helpful in business. And that's mostly because of what Blair Enns here says, which is making things and selling things are the two basic functions in business. For our business to succeed, we must succeed at both. We can often think that the core element of our business is the thing we make, the product that we've created or the service that we offer. But that's only part of business. The other part of business, the thing that makes it business, is the selling things, is the marketing of what we're doing and how we're getting people to buy from us. Which means to be effective, we need to understand how our marketing works. We need to know what's working for us and what isn't. Of course, there's that old cliche, you know, half of advertising is a waste of money, but we just don't know which half. But we can do better than that. We can have a pretty good idea of what works and what isn't, but we need to be consistent and we need to focus. And that's important because you can't keep changing the variables. You know, if you're doing any experiment or you're trying to get better at something, you can't do it differently every time. You know, in business, when we're marketing, maybe we put an ad, you know, in a print publication, we post something on social media, we, you know, write a blog post. And for many businesses, those are all completely different. They have different messages. They seem targeted to a different person. They speak about, you know, our business in a different way. And the problem with that is we'll never know what's working and why, and we'll never know what isn't working and why not. Instead, we need to focus and have a consistent way that we're marketing our business over and over and over again. And in my opinion, and hopefully I'll be able to convince a few people by the end of this that this is true. But in my opinion and my experience and the experience I've seen of others, the thing to focus on is reinforcing your market position. Now, there are a lot of definitions for position that we'll get into, but really at the end of the day, this means making your business less substitutable by basing it on real advantage. And when we say substitutable, you know, we mean somebody doesn't buy from you for whatever reason. They ideally won't be able to go to the business next door or one click away and get exactly what you are offering them for the same price or better, you know, as conveniently or more conveniently than you are offering it. Ideally, we're not so substitutable that we have some real distinct advantage for our business. This isn't about a flashy, ad campaign. It's not about, putting a coat of paint on something and trying to make something look more expensive. This is about focusing on what we're best at, what our best customers like most about us, so that we do carve out real true advantage for our business that makes us less substitutable. And that's the essence of positioning. This is important in my opinion, because this is what creates motivated customers. And motivated customers are what create profit. And profit is what creates freedom in your business. And as a result, as many of us on this call today are business owners. But even if you're not a business owner, working at a profitable business is often less stressful than working at one that isn't. Because if you feel like the ground is falling out from under you and you're barely a step or two ahead of it, that's not going to give you certainly the sense of satisfaction or fulfillment that you were probably looking for when you started the business. But it's not going to give you that sense of freedom either. So that's why profit is important. And if profit is important, that's why positioning is important. So what is a market position? If I'm going to convince you that this is something to focus on, we need to define our terms a little bit. There are many, many definitions of a market position. David Ogilvy in the 60s said that it is what your product does and who it does it for. April Dunford, who is now really the leader in this space with her book, Obviously Awesome, she has her own definition that is quite good as well, and I recommend that book quite heartily. For today's purposes, we're really just going to boil it down to a market position is what you do, what the customer is truly buying. So to use, Bob Mester, Clayton Christensen's language, this is the job to be done for whatever it is you're selling, the solution that you are offering to a problem or a circumstance the customer has. How you do it, that's often the thing you're selling, the product you have, the service you have, the app or the offering that you have, and the unique way that you provide it to people. And then who you do it for. The customer set, for instance, that truly believes this is most important to them. Ideally, a real position, when it's at its best, is something that is unique, that people truly want. If you can do those two things together, that's a great market position to have, and that's what you want to be reinforcing over and over and over again. So let's give a few examples of market positions so that we can kind of figure out from here what we can be doing with our own marketing to make it more successful, and how we can see every decision as a marketing decision. None of the companies I'm about to talk about have we ever worked with. These are just great positions that I really like, and I think a lot of them have some broad appeal. My favorite local example is Real Fake Meats. So this is the vegan butcher shop. In my opinion, what they sell is not fake meat. What they sell is the big city butcher shop experience. The unique way they offer that to their customers is using all plant-based ingredients. And who they're offering this to is the vegan, the vegetarian, and the veggie curious. Most importantly, who they do not spend a lot of time, money, or resources marketing to are people who don't care about fake meat or aren't interested in it. There is not a word on their website about why you should want fake meat. They're talking to people who already eat fake meat, who already know it's interesting, who already want it, and they're telling you, come to us because we're going to give you that butcher shop experience you don't have because you don't eat meat. And so they're quite unique in that space. And they're quite valuable as a result because they are not very substitutable. If I am looking for an all plant-based butcher shop experience, I don't have a lot of other options to go to, certainly locally, or certainly in a city like Halifax. So that's what position gets you. And as if you've gone to Real Fake Meats, it is not the cheapest place to buy anything. But I'm not going there just for the fake meat. I could get that at the grocery store. I could buy a block of tofu. I'm going there for the experience, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more as a result. To use the big examples that we all kind of have kind of an intuitive relationship with is Netflix. What is Netflix offering me? They're offering me instant entertainment. As we all know, Netflix wasn't always internet streaming video. They used to send DVDs, and a DVD sent to you within 2 days 10 years ago was effectively instant. They've always been marketing instant entertainment. The way they do it now, how they do it, has changed in that they're using their unlimited catalog of cross-device video to serve you instant entertainment. And the customer base they go after the most is people who always want something to watch. They are spending less time focusing on just that we have this one amazing show and you have to sign up to this great show. Their marketing is much more focused on, we got something for everyone. You want something to watch, you can come to Netflix. This is opposed to what we would often consider would be their direct competitor, which would be Disney Plus. But Disney Plus's position, interesting, while their strategies are quite similar, their positions are quite different. Disney Plus isn't offering you instant entertainment as their core offering. They're offering you your favorites, your favorite TV, your favorite movies. They provide this to people in an identical way that Netflix does through unlimited cross-device access. But again, their customer base is slightly different. They're for people who love what Disney makes. If you don't like superheroes, Star Wars, Pixar, you're probably not dying to sign up for Disney Plus, unless, of course, your kids love those things, in which case you're probably signing up for Disney Plus, or you have great memories of watching these things as a child. Disney Plus's position there is somewhat opposed to Netflix's. They're not the home for everything, they're the home for Disney, and that's unique and unsubstitutable as a result. And of course, we have the iPhone. Any analogy or example of a true $2 trillion company quickly breaks down. So of course, this is just one sliver of their business. But the iPhone, what are they selling to me? At the end of the day, they're selling to me an all-in-one communication entertainment device. When they have AR glasses, when we just have small roll-up slabs of glass we keep in our pockets, it won't be about a phone anymore. The phone was never the point. The point was all-in-one communication and entertainment. How they currently do that is through an intense focus on user experience and delight. And who they do it for is, of course, people who want that, people who want an easy, beautiful experience. This is directly opposed to, as Rory Sutherland would say, the opposite of a good idea is also a good idea. So the opposite of Apple's good idea is the Android approach, which is they are offering the solution that they're selling is very much the same. It's an all-in-one communication and entertainment device. However, they're doing it in a very different way. Their focus is, of course, on features, customization, and price. If you're in the Android ecosystem, you have many more options across the board for everything, for the hardware you want, the customization of your experience, and price point is much more varied in the Android space. Who do they sell to? For people who want a customizable, controllable experience. As we talked about before, when you have a good unsubstitutable product, if I went to the Apple store and they didn't have the phone I wanted, I wouldn't go next door and buy an Android phone. These aren't substitutable. And it's not just, we talk about it, well, that's the switching costs. Of course, you're stuck in the ecosystem. If I could, split away from the Apple ecosystem with a click of the button, I'm still unlikely to go buy some other phone because I like the way Apple does it and their marketing to me and people who like their experience over the other experience. So there's plenty of room for multiple positions. It just really is about focusing on what you do, the problem you're trying to solve, the job to be done, the unique way you're doing it that's special for you, and then the unique customer set that you want to focus on and who care about all of these things that you're doing. So really, at the end of the day, this is about focusing on what you're best at and what your best customers want most. As business owners, we can often find that, where we're spending most of our time is on customers who don't actually value us the most, or we can spend a lot of time on work that isn't very profitable. Meanwhile, there are profitable customers who like working with us, who see what we do as very valuable, that might get less attention because we have all of these other customers that really aren't our core audience and might not be the best use of our time, money, or resources. We want to figure out who our best customers are and what they want most from us. Because really it's about creating, like I said, that true difference worth paying for. Again, not just about a flashy brand, a big ad campaign, or something that, makes something look differently and look more expensive. It's about that true advantage, that true difference by focusing. So you might think here, aren't we talking about how we build my product? Aren't we talking about how I build my service? Isn't this really not talking about the marketing? And I think that is, to somewhat very true, because every decision is a marketing decision. And that's because everything you do reinforces or damages your market position. What your product does reinforces or damages your market position. How it works, the specific way it behaves reinforces or damages it. How the app performs, whether it's slow, whether it's fast, is reinforcing or damaging a specific market position. It could be, as detailed as how fast you respond to customer service messages is either reinforcing or damaging your market position in the perception of your best customers. A way to think about this more holistically is to use what Alexander Chernev calls the 5 C's and go through kind of every element of your company as an organization and see, is what I'm doing here reinforcing or damaging my market position? The staff I'm hiring, where my office is located, the sign out the front door, is this helping or hurting me? The customers that we're targeting our messages to, are they the ones that value us the most? Or are they just the ones that we feel like we can get because there's a lot of them? The way we respond to what our competition does is either going to reinforce or damage our market position. They lower their price, so we lower ours. That is unlikely to help us in a meaningful way. Collaborators, meaning the vendors, the suppliers, the software you use, the stuff and the people you depend on to make your business succeed, who you choose, what you choose, and how you choose it is either going to damage or reinforce that market position. And then finally, there's the context. And this is a very, we're living in a very contextual time in that there's a pandemic. There is the push to move everything online. There is the huge uptick in interest in virtual reality and augmented reality. There's a lot of context happening around us that how we respond to these changes, how we do virtual meetings, how we service our customers without necessarily being able to have them in our shop all the time, that's going to damage or reinforce our market position. And to get super specific, again, that's going to play into your SEO. The keywords you choose to focus on, how you implement it on your website, whether there's a broken link on your homepage, these things are going to damage or reinforce your market position. Your social media, what you post, how often you post, whether you're focused on memes and jokes or serious professionalism, that is helping or hurting you and your market position. Your overall content strategy, what you're doing, where you're doing it, whether you're spending money on it or not, is helping or hurting your market position. This is a question we used to get a lot, but because of recent events, we get it a lot less often, which is, should my company be on TikTok? That sounds like a social media question or a marketing question, and in many ways it is, but more than that, it's a positioning question. I don't know if your business should be on TikTok. Is that what your best customers would expect from you? Are your best customers there? And is being on TikTok and the content you would put on TikTok going to help or hurt your market position? Because at the end of the day, everything we do makes us more or less like what our customers believe is best about us. It makes us, really more or less valuable to those best customers. And it makes us more or less differentiated from our competition and more or less focused on what you're best at. At the end of the day, this might all just be déformation professionnelle. But I really do believe that marketing builds position, and position builds profit. And profit is what builds businesses that last. So thank you for joining today. I'm excited for your questions. Please, if you have any, if we don't get to your question today, if you have any thoughts, send them to me, joel@familyknife.com. I just like talking about marketing strategy. So send me an email and we'll talk it out. As we talked about a bit during the audit, we do one-on-one workshops with clients to help them with their strategy and their market position, and then getting the work done and figuring out what to do next. And as mentioned, if you want to sign up if this was interesting, I write about this kind of thing every week at thestrategyyouwant.com, and I'd love to see you there. So thanks, everyone. I'll hand it back over to Kenzie or Mike for questions.